But I was always sort of doubting myself, like, oh, you know, are they going to want me? You know, there's probably heaps of guys out there that got a lot more experience in that sort of job than I do. You don't realise how much weight coming from defence has. I had an interest in the military probably from when I was very young. My grandfather, he was in the RAF, the RAAF. He was a gunner on the Hudson bombers. So he did a fair bit around sort of Indonesia, around that sort of area. I suppose growing up listening to his stories, and when we go over his place, he had always had a heap of military books and stuff like that, which I was always flicking through. Initially enlisted as a rifleman in infantry. And also I got through IETs, went up to the battalion, but during that time I actually started having dramas with my knees. They were screaming out for carpenters in the army. So I thought, yeah, I may as well go get a trade, something to fall back on. Deployed in Afghanistan the first time, was in 2010, 2011 on MTF2, Mentoring Task Force 2. And it was sort of during that time that I got talking to a few of the dog handlers and saw them do a bit of work, and I thought that looks like a pretty cool job. Yeah, hearing about what they did and their experiences, that was something that I thought it was really appealing to me. Went and saw the EDD section commander right at the end of the trip. And there he said, yeah, you're good to go on course, and I was actually lucky enough to get on next year's course. Afghanistan's just it's an extreme place. There's no mediocre. You know, from the weather, it can be 50 degrees down to minus 20. Even to the landscape, you've got, you know, these massive high mountains with snow on them, even in summer. And then you walk into go into the green zone there, and it's almost tropical sometimes.
Grew up in a little town called Augusta in southwest WA. Left home when I was 17, joined the Air Force as a box packer, which is a stores person, with the intention of being a carpenter, but in those days recruiting liked to give you the little story. So started looking elsewhere, and that's when I came across clearance diving. So all the young fellas we knocked around with surfed, and the ocean was part of how we grew up. So when I heard that there was diving in the military, I went and had a look. Initially actively served in Solomon Islands, and then 2003 active service in Iraq in the initial invasion. In Iraq we were providing mine clearance support to the United States along with English divers. Finished up in 2004. First job when I left the Navy was Australian Federal Police. What attracted me to that was small teams. Obviously I had a skill set that I'd learnt in the military that I could take into civilian life.
So I got out in 2015, March of 2015. I love my job still. I really enjoy my job, but me and my wife had our daughter in 2014. So your priorities kind of change. I got back on the tools originally, went back to my trade. It was getting to me, I only did that for a few months, and it just got to me doing the same thing every day, day in, day out. But I really missed working a dog. You know, I wasn't ready to finish being a dog handler, I don't think. So I started looking around for dog handling jobs. Applied for one at the prisons as a drug detection dog handler. I even looked into the police, customs, all those sorts of avenues. Decided to do a bit of research into the truffle industry in WA. Believe it or not, I was looking through Seek one day, and this job popped up for truffle dog handler. And I caught up with Fabio one day. We had a coffee and a bit of a chat, and he said, "Yeah, come come down to the farm and have a bit of a look and see how things go.
Rob was the first veteran to come and work for me. He ticked all the boxes actually. Out of all the people that I interviewed, I felt good about him. There's definitely something about guys that have come from a military background. They've got a systematic way of approaching things. Since then, we've actually employed another ex-army person who was also in the same field as Rob. He's proven to be here exactly the same.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, good dog. These are the hides that we use during the off season. It's basically a little vial with a cotton wool bud soaked in truffle oil, because obviously we don't have the real thing to train on during the off season. Kenny? Oh, in there. Good girl. What a girl. The transition from explosive detection dog handler to truffle dog handler is quite easy. It's just looking for something that's buried in the ground. Yeah, our main threat in Afghanistan was improvised explosive devices. So, and they were, a lot of the time they were buried in the ground.
They're in the back of the. Actually, do you want to drive the Kubota up to them? So we've planted 7 acres of avocados as well as the truffles, and reason for that is we just wanted to hedge our bets. I'm not thinking that the truffles won't work, but pretty keen on getting some avocados in because that's that they seem to be going okay. I think one of the main things that people struggle with is in specialist units like that in the military, whether you're a clearance diver, whether you're a special forces soldier, you get to the top and once that's finished, they don't know how to deal with it. I'd like to think that we have a fairly good support network. A lot of people my age that have got out know that, well, have friends that have committed suicide or struggled to find decent jobs. The thing with truffle farming is there's a lot of unknowns. So you need to be a little bit risky in just giving it a crack to start with.
When I first got out, there was definitely a transition sort of period where you sort of don't know whether you're sort of coming and going for a little bit. You don't realise how well defences actually sort of set you up. Being able to be on time, having a bit of dress and bearing about you, things like that you don't even sort of think twice about. Well, a lot of people don't have. You talk to people and the question always comes up, so how did you get into dog handling? I tell them, and they always sort of look at you like, are you okay? Well, yeah, I'm fine. Don't get me wrong, there's plenty of guys out there that are struggling, but I think I'm one of the lucky ones that sort of got away relatively scot-free.
I think the military taught me to work hard, and from the units that I work with, and if things get hard, then you don't just pay it off. You need to figure out a way how to finish it. How many times been in a dive boat, wet, cold, middle of winter, and I'm standing out in the paddock and it's raining and I'm pruning trees, thinking, oh geez, this is great. And I do have a vision, and the vision is that we'll be having a truffle pulled out of the paddock by year 5. I've surrounded myself with a good bunch of people, which is exactly the same as being in the military, and so far we're kicking goals.